Good morning. It is 9:46 on this fine Thursday, June 16th, 2022. This is time for scheduled fiscal year 23 preliminary budget workshops. First one that's scheduled is for the landfill department. I am Commissioner Smith, also present is Commissioner White and McPhee. Shannon Ross, the deputy clerk. Joining us is Chief Deputy for the clerk, Zach Wagner, and our clerk, Yamamoto, and landfill director, Mr. Loper. Good afternoon and welcome. Remember that we are streaming this live and it will also be published on our YouTube page so that the community can provide input on the budget.
Very good.
And I'm going to turn it over to you to begin your presentation.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just get right into it with, we'll start with revenues. For the first time, we're going to exceed 8 million in revenues for the landfill. We're projecting, so just kind of take a step back a little bit. In the end of fiscal year 21, we projected we would end that year at 6.8 million in revenue. For FY22, we increased that projection by 5%. So for FY22, our current FY, we projected that we requested or we projected 7.1. And looking at FY22, we're probably going to hit more like 7.3 at the end of FY22. So for FY23, we're going to add another 5% to that. So we're going to project for the requested budget for FY23 for just revenue for what's coming through the gate is the $7,665,000.
I have a question.
Yes.
With inflation, people are buying less. Is there less waste coming yet?
There is not less waste coming in. For example, for May over year, looking at this May to last May, our tonnage was increased. They're at 10% increase for May over May.
Up 10%?
10%. I think we're tracking right now for FY23. We're sitting at about between 7 and 8% increase in tonnage for FY23. Or excuse me, FY22. Wow. So with recycling, we recycle white goods and metal, projecting that at 85,000. So for a total revenue of 7,750,000. With the loader buyback, a couple other things, we're projecting our revenue at a little over 8 million for FY23. Any questions on revenue? It's a lot. It's growing fast. I'm gonna need to start getting readers. I can't quite see my. Moving on to, and I'm just going to hit the highlights that I have written down. If the board would like to inquire about other items, just please let me know. I'm going to move on to new and reclassified positions for FY23. Kenton County Solid Waste is requesting one new full-time position, one new FTE in environmental compliance and safety manager. And then I'm also requesting to reclassify one of the current positions we have at the landfill. It's not an added FTE, it's currently a position at the landfill. Our landfill operations supervisor, that's the current title, current job description. I would like to reclassify that position to the landfill operations manager. That particular position not only supervises staff, that position runs the day-to-day operations of the landfill, all the way from machines, mechanics, to screeners, to operators, to flow of traffic, to fills, to lifts, to landfill gas lines. That position runs the day-to-day operations of the landfill, and it really needs to be reclassified as such. So I'll be requesting that. I've done some due diligence for the local southern Idaho area. I've looked at the Ada County job description and minimum, midpoint, and maximum for that salary range. I've also contacted Southern Idaho Solid Waste over in the eastern part of the state, and I've got those numbers, and really feel like we need to get to that level of compensation. The person that's already in that position is already doing the work, and we need to compensate that individual accordingly to the job description and the job that he's doing. So with that 108,000 that's in that area is budgeted to fully take care of both salary and the benefit package that both the new FTE would accrue, and then the reclassification of the operations supervisor to an operations manager.
Second Chair. Dave, do you have job descriptions that you've been working with HR recently?
I have. I've sent both of those to Jennifer Allen at HR, and she's been we've been working through that. She helped me get some of the comps for the local area, i.e. Ada County. For our operations manager reclassification, we need to be really close to where Ada County and Idaho Solid Waste, Idaho Southern Solid Waste is at. For the environmental compliance and safety manager, that span of control is a little less for our need. As we spoke about, we're gonna have a landfill gas system coming online next year, and we've done those presentations, and really need some help in safety, the groundwater permits, air permits, spill control plans, special waste, that this individual for the environmental compliance and safety manager will be doing. I looked at those comps and salary ranges and felt like we could be maybe 10 to 15% less than the comps that I pulled, just because of the span of control and this particular position not having staff underneath them at this time. They will at some point, but right now I don't think we need to be that high. There's no other questions in that area. I'll move on to 521101 professional consultants. That's that's Tetra Tech. That's a third-party consultant. And right below that is miscellaneous professional services, $1,683,000. So 1.5 million of that is our indirect rate or admin rate to the county, take care of PA's office, support, etc. And then a little over 150,000 will go to the justice fund in that category for our skilled worker program. So to highlight that area, as our revenues increase, the admin indirect rate increases. So we're at now 1.5 million to help with landfill support. And again, that's IT, that's the PA's office, all the support, HR, all the support, the board, and that it really, if it is, it's all of it, and it's even down to, like, we can amortize this out all the way to the desk, a piece of this desk that you guys use and the board uses, the PA's office, their computers. It's significant. It is. It's very significant, and I feel we have it's a good relationship. Moving on down to 521250 permits and licensure. That's up from last year a little bit, just because we're going to have more fees with the Department of Environmental Quality regarding landfill gas system, engineering reviews, permits, air permits. permits for the flare. Sulfur has started to be a discussion as well. So we're gonna have some increased fees there. Right below that, credit card services. There's exceeded $100,000 in fees for credit cards. That's the projected for fiscal year 23. So I will be coming to the board in FY23 to increase our credit card fee. Right now we charge $1 per transaction. I think this fiscal year, we're probably gonna lose about maybe 10, 15,000. So we better increase that maybe by 50 cents or something to recoup our swipe fees.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not huge significant, but still, I mean, that's how many swipes we're doing, $100,000 with it, so. And then also I probably have to work with Zach to get approval from the board to increase our, and help Zach with the monthly bill that whatever we do to increase that limit.
Madam Chair, we have a specific bank account, one bank account where the credit card company pulls the fees from one separate individual account. We need to make sure there's enough cash in that account to cover the credit card fees. I believe right now it's $10,000.
It is, it's 10,000 right now.
And every month we replenish that. So we need to make sure there's enough cash in that account. Credit card company can get paid and we can keep processing credit cards.
Yep. So moving clear down to wood waste removal, 532207. Currently the number in front of you is $450,000. I'm probably gonna raise that to $500,000. Consultation with the clerk and auditor. Significant contract, that's our Timber Creek contract with Mike Magurio. Just getting lots of wood, but it's a good thing. You know, we're recycling a lot. I think this year we're gonna, in wood and metal and everything, I think at the landfill, we're gonna recycle this year over 60 million pounds, which is pretty cool. The wood waste, however, I think we're seeing a lot of construction, a lot of the tan wood sheetrock, and we'll probably need to be increasing our fees in that area just a little bit. Probably going to be getting some spillover from across county lines there. Currently, the Ada County landfill is at $30 a ton across the board, which is problematic to incentivize some of the recycling and the separation of the waste. We've talked about these issues quite a bit the last year. However, from what I understand, the director and the county, Ada County, is revising their fees over there, which should help the situation quite a bit in terms of incentivizing some of the recycling again. And I'd really like to see what happens there before we make a knee-jerk reaction and do something. So I'm in a little bit of a hold pattern, just waiting for that to happen, and then we'll see how we need to adjust to make it to make it better. As I've stated before, it's with that savings in airspace, we're definitely coming out ahead in the long run by doing this, even though on face value it looks like we might be subsidizing the wood coming in and what we're paying going out. But the savings of airspace is absolutely huge, and we'll realize that over time. And it's a good contract, a good partnership. Wash drain rock, the next one I just want to highlight, even though it's a small amount, 20,000. That's for our perforated gas lines. If you recall, we put these horizontal lines in throughout the landfill to collect landfill gas. Right now, 20,000. However, I'm working with the vendor on tires. They might have some shredding capabilities for tires, which would be great because we're always looking at how to get rid of tires. They might be able to shred the tires down to like a 3/4 1-inch aggregate size that we might be able to use that instead of drain rock. It's basically like a drain field. You've added drain rock, perforated pipe, geofabric, covered in dirt. So looking at that issue, and then also I've been talking with Timber Creek and Mike on separating concrete out and having that pulverized to a certain spec and using the concrete for the drain rock as well. That looks really promising because right now we charge $21.75 a ton to bring the concrete in, and it appears that it's only going to cost us like $15, $16 a ton to have it processed. And then if we can utilize it as a drain rock, equivalent, that would be a really good savings on both ends. And then also our landfill gas wells that we're going to have to drill, as you saw in the presentation, we're going to have to drill a 1.5 foot hole or so, and then only have a 4 or 8 inch casing in the middle of that, and all that interstitial space is going to have to be filled with drain rock. We might be able to use that pulverized concrete for that as well. So we're looking at that option.
Steve, is that being done somewhere else when they process? Is there lime leachate? I guess that's my question. And is it an environmental problem?
I can't answer that question. We're going to have it pulverized, and then we're going to have to do the SIP tests. We're going to just have to see how many fines are in it. So
Okay.
it's something that we're still working on.
Okay.
I don't have
But you are doing the materials testing.
Yes, we will be doing materials testing before we use that product.
Okay, thank you.
It'll probably have to be washed. So once it gets done being pulverized and ground up into the aggregate, it'll probably have to be washed and sprayed. The fines taken out of it.
Madam Chair, another question. Go ahead. On your tire, the way that they're shredding those, it seems like that commercially that's being used more. I was at Lowe's the other day and they had mats for, basically you put them on trees to keep the growth out. So is there a vendor that does that would help you with that?
The tires, it's all across the board. There's really no one magic wand for tires. You know, they get used for all kinds of different stuff. They go to turkey to get burned for the kiln. Some of them get used for projects like you're talking about. You know, there's always innovative ways for like chrome rubber and asphalt, but nothing has seemed like it's really been the magic one item. That I'm watching Idaho Southern Solid Waste over in Eastern Idaho is piloting this grinding of the tires into an aggregate size and working with the Department of Environmental Quality right now to get it approved. And I'm kind of just watching that closely
Okay.
to see if that's something that we want to do.
Yeah.
Moving on.
If that was to happen, would you accept truck tires?
It would be easier, yes. It might be a possibility. Truck and tractor, which would be a great outlet for the community. We get questions all the time for large semis and tractor tires. We would certainly be looking at that. Moving on down to equipment and repairs, 533316. That line item is certainly higher than FY22. And that's because we're going to be planning on one of our scrapers is going to need a transmission repair for next fiscal year. And just that one repair is going to probably be the $60,000 to $70,000 category. So that's why we would increase that line item significantly. And then I'm gonna move all the way down now through the five series all the way to the 68 series. 680230 storage buildings, 115,000. That's going to be for slated for our wash rack. We're going to do some improvements there. And then we have a lean-to building out there. We already have the building, but right now it's just got a dirt floor and no doors on it. So I've scheduled to have concrete poured and doors put on that lean-to building. It's a rather large building. We park our machines in there in the winter. It's storage. That's where we store our household hazardous waste once it's processed from the transfer station and then moved underneath the lean-to to get out of the moisture. However, it's a little problematic because it doesn't have a concrete floor. It's got the third floor for any spills. And it'll be a cheap way to really increase our storage and enclosed storage out there. We've already got the building's there. All we have to do is just pour concrete with the doors on it. And the other thing, it's kind of a staff safety issue a little bit because a lot of the pigeons, a lot of birds like to get in there, and you know what birds do. And the floor in there is just so dusty, and the material out there is almost like talcum powder. And if you step in it, it's just not good for staff to be working in there. So that's what that line item is for. Fencing, pretty self-explanatory. Just got some big fence projects with the landfill gas system. We're gonna have to circle around and create more high wall fences. Keep the, just to close our facility. It's also a regulatory requirement that we close that facility. Landfill gas pipe, we're gonna be doing more pipe. Well monitoring equipment, that $30,000 for well monitoring equipment with the new landfill gas system. We're going to be required to do a lot more on-site monitoring of our wellheads and our valves and the property line wells. So we're going to need a piece of equipment that hopefully the environmental compliance and safety manager will be using on a monthly basis. That's what that $30,000 is for. And then moving on to computer network software, that $95,000 is slated for an auto excavator top con. And then let me circle back around to that once we get to the very bottom. Just kind of keep that back in mind. Office buildings, with hopefully the addition of environmental compliance and safety officer. In our current office now, I plan to have that position utilize that space and then move our code enforcement office down to the lean-to where the SIL program already is. So I've talked to Ricky, and he took a look at the space, and he feels he could build an office for our code enforcement officers down there where the SIL program is in our lean-to. So that's what that $25,000 is for. I apologize, I'm trying to hurry. Capital construction contracts, $3 million for landfill gas. Did a presentation for that. We missed having Commissioner Smith here for that. It was a pretty big presentation. I know I was all excited to have you see that. But it's a huge project. However, really feel like that can come out of our reserve accounts. We've been planning on this for years and years. That's why we've been putting the money aside for capital improvements, facility improvements. It's a one-time capital expense. I really don't feel like we need to adjust rates at this point to take care of it. The community's already bought and paid for it. It's just ready to go. Certainly the operations and ongoing maintenance, we're gonna have to evaluate that over time for fees and make sure we're all there. But for the one-time capital projects, I propose we just take it out of the reserve account. Other improvements, $410,000, $150,000 there for Softscape for landscaping project, landfill beautification that we talked about, $10,000 for some concrete at the transfer station for our household hazardous waste and batteries and oil goes. I get that on concrete instead on just the natural dirt. And then added the $250,000 for the dust control project that we did not pull the trigger on for this fiscal year. Just thought the bid was a little too high, so decided to wait. So for fiscal year 22, we're not going to spend that money. And we're going to budget for FY2023 again, just because I feel like hopefully this winter we can put that out for bid again and get a better price. I just thought it was about $100,000 too high personally, so we just always wait and see what happens. One truck, as probably the fleet has already done their presentation, working with Mark. We'll do one additional pickup. And then heavy equipment, $851,000. That's for a loader replacement and an excavator. We're going to need it. We don't currently have an excavator. That will be a new machine for the landfill. As we put in more landfill gas lines and landfill gas system, we need an excavator. Right now we're renting one when we need it. So and that's what the auto excavator goes to the computer software network, that 95,000, that goes in the excavator. We looked at both, you know, we're looking at both Caterpillar and John Deere and several others for the excavator. John Deere has TopCon equipment in it. Caterpillar has Trimble software in it for the auto excavator stuff. It's basically, you can put your design in the landfill and it'll dig it and make sure it's all correct. Grade control stuff. However, in talking with our vendor right now, that we have TopCon right now. We have a vendor that we use for all our grade control technology out there. Talking with them, they feel it'd be much better if we don't go through the dealer. We go through them to have it installed, then they support it, they're local. We can integrate it with our current designs. If say like we bought, say John Deere already has TopCon in it, we're talking to the TopCon person through John Deere. It's two separate. So at the end of the day, the cost is pretty similar to where we get it from. I'd rather get it from a third party that's local that we can work with. That's why the 95,000 is a separate line item from the excavator.
Okay.
Commissioner Van Beek?
Dave, on the 684350 heavy equipment, that's an excavator and a loader?
Excavator and a loader. So we talked about the loader. We've signed a purchase agreement for the loader. We're exercising the buyback guarantee and the new loader, and the excavator is included in that. So we're able to keep it under $1 million for two pieces of equipment.
Okay, and you have a lot of information here, so I'm
A lot.
looking, yes, so thank you for bearing with me here. Do you have a breakout between those two? I'm looking for the 680 on your notes. Thank you for putting notes in there.
Break, I can't remember off the top of my head the exact. You see it, Zach? It cut off at one of the light truck.
$684,350.
No, I put the breakout in the notes. I can get that to you, Commissioner Van Beek, though.
Okay, and then one more breakout, Dave, when you,
I'm thinking like in generally, the excavator is gonna be in the $280,000 area,
okay,
I think in general. And then the loader is gonna be around the 650-ish, 650,000-ish.
and then, thank
Ish.
you.
I'll make sure it's ish.
Ish. You got that in the minutes?
Dave, did you also have a breakout on the wash rack and the lean too? Did you separate those on the $115,000 line? I didn't see that in there.
I probably did not do that in the notes, but I did that on my paper here, and the wash rack, was gonna be about 15,000, and then for the concrete and doors for the lean-to is gonna be in the 100,000 range.
And you're not bidding those out because of the volatility of materials yet?
We have not bid them out yet. Just in consultation with the facilities, that was a number we felt like was a good number, and we'll bid them out.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, I will stand for questions. I saw the email on the fees, constantly looking at fees. There's definitely gonna be a couple fees we wanna take a look at for FY23. Anytime we do fee adjustments though for the waste stream, we gotta do that very methodically with due diligence and make sure we start early. It takes a while to make sure all the haulers and those folks have enough notice to also deal with their contracts and rates. So I'm always conscious of that. And anytime we change any rates, we would want to have discussions with hard sanitation, Republic, and haulers to make sure we're sensitive to that. But with the environment we're in, I feel like we can hold pretty steady for now. If we take out the $3 million for the landfill gas capital project, our revenues are still exceeding our costs for both the A budget and the B budget.
Madam Chair, take one more question. I think I'm going to answer it and make sure that's correct. But on your 680421 95,000 Topcon auto excavator, that's the software to run the program that we're trying to share with gas lines, right?
Yeah, it's the software, that's the equipment that goes on the excavator, that's the base station, the rovers that talk to the satellites, and the computer goes in the excavator. And I did get that is a quote from Bonneville Blueprint, Topcon dealer in the area.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Madam Chair.
Clerk Giovanni.
Dave, how much depth do you store and what do you think the shelf life is on depth?
Well, Clerk, I can tell you we store about 300 gallons. We have a tank, and that's on our oil contract, our gas contract. It comes from the same vendor. And I do not know the shelf life. We go through it fast enough where it's not an issue.
Yeah, I'm getting various answers, and some of what I'm hearing is that perhaps similar to gas as far as when it gets old. The reason I bring that up, I'm sure you're aware, there's appears to be a severe shortage of DEF on the way. And one of the problems is the major supplier of DEF. We do none in this country, of course. Most of it comes from Russia, Qatar, and China. And Union Pacific is the transporter of most of that. And for whatever reason, they've told Flying J, who is the major supplier, retail supplier of DEF, to cut 50%. Why that is, I have no idea. But at any rate, everybody at this point is looking at what's going to happen with DEF because it looks like that's very shortly it will be an issue.
I can tell you anecdotally, my mechanic is talked, we use currently Conrad Bishop for our oil, gas, and they're telling us currently that it shouldn't be a problem, but
I hope that's correct.
we'll see. Because they've been talking about it a little bit, but they feel like they're gonna be able to meet our needs.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Sorry, it was a lot.
No, that's okay. Zach, the lead and test had a budget workshop, the director wasn't available. Did you work with him on that budget? And then is it ready? Should we review it or should we wait for him?
I prefer to wait for him.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
That would push the preliminary meeting to or the workshop to next week. Is that okay?
It's okay with me.
Probably not with me.
And I'm available like Wednesday. Are you out all next week?
I don't know yet. These things are up in the air.
Okay, let's jump into parks and then we'll figure out how to reschedule lead and test. Hi, Nikki. Hi, just jump up here. Okay. And then we do have a live stream rolling. Okay. So don't trip over the chair. Right. Unless you want us to make a bloopers video. Worst has happened, right? You're welcome. did not pass this, tax exemption down. Or it gets lost, when you sign it and then send it back. I have not lost it. Where's the moment? Okay, Nikki's just about to start. You start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Zach, Chris, thank you for having us here. As you know, I'd like to provide visuals, and I just have a hard time reading when it's just numbers, so I've got all my notes here for you guys to read also. But I think one of the biggest things to start with is just our current staffing issues. On the front page there, I have provided basically the breakdown of our staffing in the department. We've got 6 full-time people. Our camp hosts, you know, they're not on staff. And then we've got the bread and butter of our department is the interpretive specialists that are part-time that help us run all the programs that are so popular between Celebration Park and Lake Lowell, and as requested other things and events and stuff. So we know that everybody's having a hard time in the job market and the market in general right now. But I think it especially hits home for us in the Parks Department in that one of our locations is so satellite. And we can't change its location, but you know, we still need staff to run it. And since January, we've been trying to get more staff, as you know, and we need 11 positions to maintain everything from the field trips we have to the grounds to the supplies. I mean, these people are involved in a little bit of everything. We really need 11. We're maintaining at 7 right now, and it's we've got a lot of full-timers in filling. We've had to not staff the parks on weekends because we can't provide them more hours and we have no one else to fill in. So we've been at 4 open positions for a while now, and it's really, you know, it's really putting a lot of pressure on the Parks Department, and it's a huge concern. If you look at the second page, you know, just to give you an idea of what the interpretive specialists really do, they're in charge of mainly, their main point is the educational programs and presenting curriculum content to whatever group that's coming to see us. We currently offer 6 different programs. The main and most popular one, as you know, is the Stories in Stone that focuses on 4th grade curriculum and up that teach about the archaeology down at Celebration Park and the history of the mining history. To give you an idea of the amount of content, we're asking those interpretive specialists to be familiar with and be able to talk about and be able to be confident in is just 51 pages for just that program. And they have to then adapt to a virtual option, which is different because we can't, nobody's gonna sit through a 4-hour presentation. So they have to learn the technology and the interactions with doing active, passive, and videos for that program that still engage whoever is interested in them. In the summertime, you know, most schools aren't in, so we end up with a lot of daycares that come down. So you've got a lot of ages. So they have to be able to flip gears and present to the summer Stories in Stone, which means they have to adapt sometimes. The kids aren't big enough to do the ADLAL, so they've got to adapt and do a dart game. They're doing some clay. They've got to kind of have all that flexibility. There's not a lot of additional curriculum for that one. Sometimes the curriculum overlaps, it's 3 pages for that one. Wildland Fire is a 5th grade program up to university level, 18 pages of additional curriculum. And this is not programs that overlap. Winter Desert Ecology, that's 5th grade and up, content, 24 pages of curriculum. Wildland Fire and Winter Desert also have virtual options that they've got to know and be able to do. Lakeville Ecology is 2nd and 3rd graders with 31 pages of very different curriculum focused on lake and water quality. And Canoe Science Camp, we have interns that primarily do that, but they assist. They come and help get in the boats and assist with the program. So they're not leading those, but they have to, be a body that's helping with those kids. So in total, we're asking them to know 127 pages of college level curriculum because we adapted to a certain curriculum, but we're asking them to be able to present it to college students. The last couple of days, we've had BSU college level students out for the Desert Studies Institute. In addition to that, their risk management, their safety, kid gets hurt, their rescue if Marine Patrol needs assistance on the river, their troubleshooting things like somebody's locked their keys in their car, and they're first responders, not trained first responders, but if something goes wrong, they're the first responders down there. They get first aid and CPR training, their customer service, their regional tour guides. They help with when they're not doing the field trip programs, they're helping keep the grounds down there safe and clean and litter free. They're cleaning restrooms, cleaning buildings, taking care of garbage, basic park maintenance like fixing a boardwalk board, helping fix field trip supplies, helping with campsite maintenance, feed collection, ordinance compliance. They go out and have to tell somebody, you need your dog on a leash. You can't be using your bow and arrow or a gun on the ad-level range. And they assist with curriculum design. They're very talented people, and sometimes they museum exhibits. And I know that's a lot to go into, but I don't think anyone truly realizes until they're down there watching these people do it, how broad that their job is and how much detail they need to know and how much they have to learn. When I was an interpretive specialist in 2004, we made $10 an hour and McDonald's made $6. I have interpretive specialists that we just gave $14 an hour and McDonald's is offering $16. So we can't control some of this, but what we have is a big gap in what the reality of the market in town is versus what we're asking for and offering in this remote site that includes a significant amount of travel time and significant amount of their income with gas. I've done the math. If somebody's traveling from Boise, which has always been a big draw of our interpretive specialists, they're spending up to 5 hours a week in the car to work for 3 days, and they're using 25% of their income on gas. And I've talked a lot with the clerk's office and a lot with HR. We can't control gas prices. I try anything and everything, but the reality is there's not an easy fix except that I need to offer them more money, one, for the quality of the work, to maintain the programs that we have and keep the park open, and to provide the level of services that we've always provided. And right now, I since January, I've been able to hire 1 interpretive specialist, and every other one has either no-showed on the interview or said, I can't, it's too far and too expensive. So I'm asking for a significant increase in the interpretive specialist budget so that we can offer a salary that fits what we're asking them to do, and a salary that's competitive compared to what they're being offered in town. And the ability to possibly offer extra hours where they might get a little bit of person.
Madam Chair. Nikki, can you put on the record, I hear you saying that you have a great staff, good people that are working. Are they at the high school level McDonald's workers? Tell us about their credentials and qualifications that are filling interpretive special roles.
Some of them have master's degrees right now, and we're lucky to have those because the ones that we have live closer to the park. But we're not getting, it'd be nice if more local people apply, but we're not getting that. I think several of them would say that the only reason they're still working for us is that they really like it, but that it's a wash financially for their time and the money. And we would definitely get, I mean, for an anthropology student, this looks great on a resume. And we just had one with a bachelor's turn it down because, nope, it's not worth it on my resume. It's too far. And that's who we used to get a lot of. It's a tough market, and we're asking a lot down there, but the quality of what we provide is amazing. And I'm not sure what happens if we lose another staff member down there. We're just gonna have to close more days, but I'm worried we're not gonna be able to provide the programs that are booked 3 years out, right? Which is not, it's not fair to the people. And what we do down there is so unique and amazing. It would be really disappointing for our quality and our services to get any more hits to it. And I think if we can provide more options, we'll get more people. But we have to be competitive with, if you look at page 4, I just did a quick search just the other day on you can work for Youth Ranch for $15 in town, and you're probably just sorting stuff. You're a teller, right? McDonald's, $14 to $16 free food, education assistant, tuition reimbursement, and it's a mile down the road. So I think it's time to make up that gap of what we're offering compared to what's out there, and especially for what we're asking these people to know and provide.
Can I help you out a little bit here?
Yes.
Madam Chair. So Zach and I spent we went into great detail the other day, and she's outlined a good share of this. Here's the bottom line. We are not providing the services that we need to live up to. This is a case that we either need to do it or not do it. It's not happening. We've had to do closures. Trash isn't being taken care of all the time like it should be. There's all this. Logistically, it's a mess. Why? Shorthanded. Terribly shorthanded. So we've got to come up with a fix. Again, my position is either do it or don't do it. So it's time to kick this thing in gear. This is a treasure of Canyon County, and I think it's something that unfortunately we're just going to have to throw some more money at it, and hopefully that works.
I think you built a great record. Keep going. Move.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Very much appreciated.
Yep, agreed.
So the last page of this is just the highlights of, I think the things that, will be asked about. I'll go through them hopefully very briefly. One is the miscellaneous professional services. This is a line that we use in case we need architects, engineers, or anything for a project. As you know, we are always looking for the next grant application that we can write to provide better services or better improve what we have, such as the East End camping improvement. We'd like to start looking at a grant through state parks for improving the boating ramp area and the boat docks at Celebration Park. But to do that, there's almost always some engineering or architecture involved. That has a fee. You need that to then create a budget to apply for the grants. So this line is in there for those types of services so that we can then get those grants. And we almost always get the grant. Under me, we've always got the grant where we've been told you've got too many, apply again next year, which is great to hear. But we need those to be able to move forward, and if we get the grant, those are always part of we can get reimbursed for that or use it as match most of the time. So that's what that line is. Gun range, we're just going to continue forward with what we can with assistance with the firms. That takes time. I think one more phase of improving firms will help. And then we've got some remaining budget this year to continue with the total range services recommended plan and put up some barriers so that people can't drive down the lanes anymore. And we'll continue with that next year, making it safer and something we can be a little more proud of. Field trip, that line I've asked to raise by just $1,000 because as you can see the picture, these are not ours, but these are things that are examples of what we would like to add to our educational programs, or we have materials that have broken or have been loved to death. We have one rabbit quiver that looks like it was a rabbit with mange because it has been loved to death by little children's hands. We need to fix that. So I'm just asking for an increase there so we can get some replacements for those and some LL replacements of darts. I kind of wish I brought that quiver. And then building supplies and materials. We have one AED down at Celebration Park, correct? Yeah, one. That was donated to us years ago from St. Al's, and it's gone kaput on us. We've looked for a battery replace. The hard problem with it not being the same as the rest of the counties is that we have to go out of our way to find the right pads, the right batteries. This would allow us to have them in each building down there, and they would be the same as the county system, so we could roll that under getting new pads each year and make it more standardized, make sure that it's the same quality. Grounds maintenance supplies, this is one that I don't think any of us could have anticipated how much increase in costs grounds maintenance supplies have. I am over 200% of what I budgeted, which still just blows my mind, but fertilizer has gotten expensive. We had to replace parts on docks. Everything with grounds right now is just through the roof. We've stalled some of the projects because I'm so far out of budget on that we're just going to wait for next year. Such as the story trail, we were going to budget to, we kind of done a reset to that, taken a lot of the landscaping, reset it, and then we're going to plant new things and improve it, and there's just not the wiggle room in my budget, and facilities has quite a bit on their plate, so we made the decision that, you know what, we're going to hit that project next year. Part of that project, or excuse me, I'll come back to that. Grounds maintenance also includes, we used all the cable on the docks this year. Those cable is what puts them out and keeps them grounded and keeps them from flying all over the place, well, floating all over the place in the water. We've used all that cable. So we need to have backup cable for next year and for if something comes loose and breaks. We did a lot of park signage this year because it needed updated, improved ordinances on it. We're budgeting $6,000 to continue that project. And $3,000 for the Lake Bowl Story Trail landscaping. Oh, I skipped one. Back up to the exhibits line. That's what I said I'd come back to. Part of the story trail for this next year would be we've got books that kids read. It's really popular. It keeps people and kids moving down in that hidden area, which keeps it safer, along with the disc golf. We need new platforms for the story trail. And that'll be about $6,000. So by next summer, we'll have a better platform for the story trail, better landscaping, and it will be where it should be.
platforms, what are they made out of?
It's kind of like signage platforms,
Oh,
with like plexiglass over it, so
Got
you could take a book and put the pages in there. And it gets the kid hiking and it gets them reading as they go along.
okay.
And if you know Lake Lowell, that area is kind of down in a cliff area. It's actually the negative of the dam. That's where they pulled the dirt between our park and that neighborhood to build the dam. And if we didn't do capital constructions, we have not gotten a single bite on the Crossroads mezzanine. So we'd like to try again, while we also think about what to do with that if we don't get a bite next year. I know Rick has spent, Rick in Facilities has spent time on the phone trying to get people to bid on it. He kind of hears the same thing as we hear when we try and get staff. It's too far. You know, in this case, it's too small of a project.
A picture of that somewhere?
I can send the plans.
I know the clerk said last year, if you don't get it done this year, you're done hearing about it.
12, this has been a 12-year project.
Yeah,
Getting kind of tired of it.
yeah.
My defense, it was a project I inherited.
I understand.
And there's
Maybe
quite a
it's
few
not-
things we've talked about that I've inherited that we've got checked off.
Yeah, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe
Well-
you should create a new plan.
Madam Chair.
Maybe something is just saying, this isn't the right plan.
Can I budget for yours?
Yeah,
That's been an idea, right? I mean, the mezzanine would be amazing and professional looking, but I know one thing is I'm not interested in trying to build another building foundation down there. The amount of rocks that you deal with is just kind of, it creates nightmares. So if we can come up with an alternative, like yurts or something that might take the place of that, we might be able to make it work.
Madam Chair. And I know you've done this before, but it's been a while, but that mezzanine level was meant to hold a lot of resources. And it's just a loft area that's unique to that building, correct?
Yes.
And so a yurt is very different. It wouldn't hold your resources. And
It might hold some, but it's just an example of, we're trying to think out. We're trying to think about
And I don't want to,
alternatives.
okay, and I don't want to speak for it, Rick is here. Rick, you don't have the staffing or the equipment to put that in. Your team is really talented.
It would
you gotta come up here, because we're recording.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mandy, yeah, it requires a little more, because they would have to take a big beam that would span the whole museum. So we would be cutting holes into the block, placing the beam across, and then structurally forming it up from there. So it's a little more than, I don't have the correct equipment to be able to put that beam in.
Okay.
Does,
Thanks for-
Rural Steel or R&M Steel, have we reached out to them for the beam help?
I haven't reached out to them for the beam help.
Because what if someone helped us with the beam, then would you guys be able to do the rest? You can say no, I just wondered,
We can look into it for sure.
because that's the main hurdle is the beam.
The main hurdle is the beam, correct?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Van Beek?
there are some of those steel places, it's not on the other one in town, that has historically given some resource, and it was not to this department, but to another department. So I think that's a really good idea to reach out and see what we could do on that aspect, and maybe they would donate that as a write-off. I don't know.
Or let's just pay for it so we can
There
keep
you go.
moving. Because it's so old, but I do think they are locals that have been here for a really long time, and if the clerk even went, helped us compel a small piece of that job to be completed, because if that is the big hurdle, let's try and get it done.
I'll look into it.
Tell us if you want help. I know them.
With that,
I know them. If you need help, let me know.
I'll look into it.
Okay,
Thanks, Rick.
all right.
We just found out about a week and a half ago that we received the Idaho State Parks Recreation Cutthroat Fund Grant Award. This is everybody that buys a license plate with the cutthroat trout on it. Actually goes to provide fishing accesses. So we won that award a couple of years ago to do the Lake Roll ADA fishing dock. It takes a couple of years for that fund to build to a level that it can actually be effective. So we went for it again and we got it. So 2 times in a row now we've gotten it, which is great. Julie McCoy that went to DSD, she's the one that wrote the grant, and now she was very excited to hear that. But now we're handing that project over to our new employee, Alex, that's taking the outdoor recreation planner position.
Alex.
Yes.
That total project is $19,932. You have to provide a match, and we budgeted to provide the gangway as match for that. So it would be reimbursed at $15,087 for that project, which we need to get signed here. And then working with Mark Tolman, we have an F-150 that needs replaced. So $45,000 budget for that.
Okay, I have a question, and I hope I didn't miss it. Did you, at a different meeting, we talked about increasing the maintenance coordinator position?
I am currently looking with HR, looking at that job description and a visitor services job description. The visitor services position is it just hit a year, and you write a new position, and sometimes you realize they're doing things that aren't on the job description, so we need to correct that. I'm working as quickly as I can with HR to look at those and have talked to the clerk and Zach about looking at those very quickly. I'm also wanting to work with HR about the interpretive specialists, as suggested by the board, about creating a tiered level so that when we hire somebody with greater expertise, it's more defined what we're bringing them in at.
But the maintenance coordinator is still empty, that position.
Correct.
And there is housing on site.
No.
That's an RV.
The last person lived there. It was kind of, she filled 2 roles. It just worked out that way. She was the camp host and worked during the day as the maintenance coordinator. What we need to do is fill that position and get a separate camp host that can be there on weekends and officially there and looking at collecting fees and those types of things.
You're saying that person was a twofer?
Yes.
We have lots of twofers.
We were very
We're
lucky.
unable to refill as twofers.
Yep, we were very lucky with that one.
Okay, so you're gonna be moving forward as soon as possible with changes on the maintenance coordinator.
Yes.
And then you're gonna fill a camp host. Okay.
I need to get my positions first so I can get the capacities to look at the camp host, yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Mandy?
Thank you. And I'm just wondering, I don't know, because I don't view any of the parks, but for a camp host, is the expectation that they provide their own housing or, okay.
They bring an RV.
Essentially, they get the spot and electricity and water. Occasionally, I mean, at Martin Landing, we offer a stipend at Martin Landing campsite. Those fees have to go back into Martin Landing under our agreement. So those fees are collected and go into the RC&D, the Southwest Idaho RC&D account. And then we work with Fish and Game to, like this year, we spent a significant amount of that money on replacing the solar batteries for the solar lights that are out at that location. But you get what you pay for sometimes, and that location was difficult to get a camp host of the caliber that we would want. And so through the RC&D, it's paying a stipend of $50, helping them move on should that need to be the right thing to do.
Okay.
And that's an agreement between the camp host and RCND as the project leader on that.
I'm thinking at Martin Landing, you have, for an RV, you have sewer at Celebration. No, would that be correct?
We do have some sewer that Paul helped us put in. It's really only feasible in the summer.
I think I understand that.
Okay, any final questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki.
Looks great. You worked hard on it. And I do appreciate the thorough review of that. It's building a record for those big increases is important. So thank you.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Mandy?
can I ask one last question? So Nikki, I just want to make sure I understand the numbers. On the notes that you provided, you indicated 200,000 on your part-time, and you have 9 part-time people. That's your $16 an hour. If I just divide it out in a simple way.
No, so we would want to be able to offer up to $20 an hour or more in years where they provided service.
So that'll be this phased approach that she's working with HR on, being able to do like a 1 and a 2 position.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yes, we just switched them to 16 a little while ago, but it's still
Not enough.
And to attract someone with a master's degree, that's why I questioned. I just.
Well, and that's
some of that.
ideally what we want for those is somebody with some degrees. It's not to say that other people can't, but it just requires a bit more training throughout time. And, it's always great if you can attract specialists, right? Like it's great when we get a geologist down there. We talk about the geology, we talk about the anthropology, the archaeology, ecology. So if we can get anyone in any one of those degrees, even biology or avian specialists, those are all things that we talk about really down there. So if we can attract people with even some level of degree in those, then they can start to help educate each other, and it's less of a burden on us. And we've had that in the past where it's just great groups that they can almost teach each other based on their expertise and make the programs even better based on what they're learning from each other's niche.
Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
And we're gonna roll into HR. I'm gonna take a really fast break.
Yeah.
Or just keep the live going, yeah.
Hey, Nikki. Just going to,
I hope whoever got to about this.
this especially.
Yeah, you hope so.
What our rate.
Don't want to run out of that.
Well, they'd have to take away from those, which would be, but I think that doesn't look big.
And the other thing was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also worried about that.
All right, you guys ready? Kate.
Hi.
I almost did it. I've been calling all sorts of people wrong, but Kate, we're excited that you're here.
Thank you. I'm
Very
excited
nice.
to be here.
I've been here since you got here, so if you don't mind, I'd like to shake your hand.
Thank you. I would like that as well. And I'm not sure what the protocol is here, so please bear with me and school me on. the
Oh, it's
proper-
just us,
Yep.
it's just us, but it's sure to have you. Thank you very much.
It's so nice to be here. It's so fun for me as I talk to my friends and former colleagues and tell them that I love my new job.
Yay.
That's awesome.
And it's just a great group of people. Without exception, I have met fabulous people that I'm not one bit surprised that everyone is so fabulous.
That's awesome.
The community is wonderful as well.
Good.
So,
Well, welcome.
thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. Nothing like jumping in the deep
I
end.
know. When, yeah, with money.
Yeah, good money.
Yeah.
And right here in front of all of you, I have the greatest of respect, and so here we are. But we'll do this, and I'm learning every day. Jennifer has great experience here, and so I just am here. So
Okay, I'm gonna jump us back onto the official record. We're live, but we'll go on the record.
okay,
Okay, it is 10:57 on June 16th, 2022, and this is time for a continued hearing on the fiscal year 23 preliminary budget workshop. I'm Commissioner Smith, also present is Commissioner White, Commissioner Van Commissioner Master, Deputy Clerk. Joining us is Clerk Yamamoto and Chief Deputy Wagner. And we have Kate Rice with our Human Resources, she's our director. We have Jennifer Allen. And we are going to just jump right in. I'll remind you that we are recording live. And the purpose of that is for the community to be able to listen to these specific budget requests and then provide input at our July community input meeting. So with that, you are brand new. Welcome. Way to jump in on your first week with the budget. And so either you or Jennifer, whoever wants to take the lead and jump right in.
well, it's just such an honor to be here and to be learning about the way Canyon County operates within Canyon County. HR is a service to all the employees of Canyon County, and I believe all the employees of Canyon County are then a service to all the people of Canyon County. And so it's a great honor that I bring this forward. But we're not without challenges. As of April of this year, the state unemployment rate is 2.6%. And in general HR terms, 5% of unemployment is considered full employment. So you can see what 2.6% does with that number. And so we have those challenges as we go forward in a budget, but also those opportunities is the way I look at it, really. Because Idaho has the 6th youngest population for median population in the nation. And I think that's a benefit to us that we do have a significant number of young people here who could look at a full career. And Canyon County would be a wonderful career opportunity for those people here in Idaho with a median age of 36.6. National median age is 38.2. And aren't we glad we don't live in Maine, which is the oldest state and has a median age of 44.8. So I see some of those things as a positive, and I will always look at things with that positive. I don't need to tell all of you that Canyon County is the largest employer within Canyon County, followed by 2 different school districts, both Valley View and Caldwell, West Valley Medical Center, and College of Idaho. Walmart comes in at number 6, and Simplot at number 7. And so there again, those are our competition, if you will, for the employees that we need to fill our open positions. So we do have some salary constraints, and we have some salary information that we would like to glean to be able to best compensate the very dedicated people that are here at Canyon County. And to that end, Human Resources is coming before you and requesting an addition to staff. we would like to add a compensation and benefits professional, a full-time position. You'll see that in the budget line as we go forward.
Zach, I saw your face, we were making changes up to like the last minute, so I apologize.
And I had a operator error. I printed the 2022.
Oh, yeah,
posted.
yes, you did.
I just sent an email to Monica.
To print the new one?
2023.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Sorry, I'm thinking,
I know.
we're holding fast, okay.
I had wrote down, how come there's not a new position on it?
Oh, okay, so, because it is something that I think you all have identified that would be a benefit and a resource
Yes,
for
all the offices.
all the offices. And that's, again, what human resources is that service to all of the entities of Canyon County.
Yep.
So,
Thanks for your patience. My apologies.
thank you. And surprise, surprise, the numbers match what we were going to go with, so that'll make everybody's life a little better.
Yes.
So again, I'm not sure what your expectation of the protocol, would you like me to go through these line by line, or do you ask questions? What is the standard?
So, so what we normally cover is just things that are significant to you or changes from prior year budgets that would be the public or we might be interested in.
Okay,
And, or things that like you didn't spend in 2022 and you are rolling it over to 23.
okay,
Or just things that to know, like if, or areas where you significantly saw that you weren't spending or you were overspending, things like that.
okay,
Okay,
sure.
you pick.
So,
So the, why don't, on the, really quick though, on the new reclassified position, that's 105,000. Is that just for one position, including the benefits?
that is one position including benefits. Because of the specialized experience and qualifications expected to be needed for this position, we are looking at a $75,000 base salary plus then a 40% benefit load.
Okay. And that is wage or compensation and benefit and an analyst or
Probably more like a manager position. Well, the
Okay.
position is not expected to manage headcount, but will manage the function of the compensation and benefits. Jennifer has written a wonderful job description. I believe you all have seen that. We may tweak it a bit depending on the final needs, but it,
Commissioner Wade.
Okay, here I go again. Because HR services the whole kit and caboodle. Do we do an admin charge? Does every office have an admin charge for them?
There are multiple entities that provide services throughout the entirety of the county. You three do that. Your
No, no, no,
staff
no, no, no.
does that.
But we just do on specific things. And all the employees, that's what this department services, all of the employees, okay? And I'm just wondering, why there is not, we just did one the other day, and there's a big old fat admin charge on there. Oh, David Loper gets that $1.5 million. So I'm just wondering, when it's a department that services everybody. I know that, you know, other, like, Signifa, they have admin fees that they pay for the whole thing, you know. So have you ever considered that? Everybody then everybody is, she's their customer. Everybody is their customer. It's not just board, it's everything with HR, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely, we considered that.
Okay,
I don't feel that the costs associated with creating that kind of an accounting structure, I don't feel that it's worth it.
so it's
Payroll.
TMW.
It's all property tax, like property tax is paid for HR. And so,
With the landfill, it's significantly different because the landfill is an enterprise fund.
Right,
It functions more as a
Right.
private business.
okay,
Outside of that, I don't feel that there's enough benefit to spreading the cost of one or two or a few employees throughout the entirety of the county, trying to figure out, well, the sheriff's office is 17%, the clerk's office is 13%. We also have payroll personnel, we have accounts payable personnel. They're paying bills for everybody, they're paying payroll for everybody.
right.
I don't think we want
it too much
employees.
work?
It's too much work without a
Okay.
benefit.
And a lot of times, too much work makes it not transparent, and it's usually not easily understood, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'm done, thank you.
Madam Chair, let me finish that thought. We, here in the county, we have certain functions that our fee structure is based on our expenses. So there are certain things, I'll use the recording passport office as an example, where we want things there. In other words, like the printers, copiers and whatnot, rather than have IT in the IT budget, because we need to show those expenses for the places where we need to set a cost to structure our fees from. Other than that, I agree with the controller completely. If you go to splitting too many things out, too many ways, it just turns into a mess.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Van Beek,
and I support that. I think that if we were to follow that down, facilities, fleet, HR, all of that, that would be kind of an accounting nightmare. And then to break that out, I think the directors serve a multitude of offices and departments.
Madam Chair, if I can just say, I respect your opinion, both of you. I couldn't do your job, thank you very much. But I still think that it could be a good idea someday.
keep
Okay.
going. Sorry.
I apologize for me.
I didn't mean it like that.
I wanted to offer a comment on that proposed position.
Okay,
The county, we're in the business of providing services. Services are provided by personnel, people. 60 to 70% of what we spend is salary and benefits. That's a huge portion of our budget. Paying wages that are equitable within our own house, paying wages that are equitable within the community, that is of great importance to us. We need to have the right personnel in the right positions, and a big part of that is compensation. And I want our compensation to be consistent with this community.
I agree, and it falls in line with when we had the elected official meeting. We didn't want to hire consultants to tell us what to do. We wanted someone in-house that knew our staff, knew our needs, and worked with us long-term. And so this falls in line with what the other elected officials desired as well.
And I think hiring the right people, retaining the right people is beneficial and saves the taxpayers money in the long run.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree 100%. Thank you very much, well said. And so that is our one staff ad that we are requesting. We also currently have 2 part-time people, one of which we will be increasing hours and looking to increase hours that then would create a need for a Percy contribution.
So the part-time increase is adding hours to 2 part-time people.
Not,
Or what?
to one.
Okay.
It simply adds hours to one, but it does create a perceived liability.
Yeah.
Because it goes over the threshold.
Okay,
The other one will remain constant.
Okay.
The other, as we move down our list, our 423 and 424 and 425, those are required fees and taxes and regulatory expenses for our given staff. And actually, when you look at that, it goes down. And so we have some capacity there. When we move to professional consultants, we have not used all of the 22 approved budget for that. And we are comfortable moving into 23 with a reduced budget for professional consultants. We anticipate using some of the 22 money as we look to do harassment prevention training. And we are looking at some outside opportunity to provide that service and knowledge to the people of Canyon County, employees of Canyon County. And then moving forward, whether we use that same consultant or we use something different, again, a $10,000 expense should meet our need rather than the full $20,000 that was approved for 2022, which hasn't been needed or utilized.
so specifically, it says 20 still, are you asking for 10 or 20?
We're asking for 10.
Under the professional consultants?
Yes,
There's
Yeah.
nothing.
that maybe didn't get an update.
Okay,
That was a last minute change that we recognized we won't really need as much. The bid has come in at less.
okay. What's the difference between professional consultants and miscellaneous professional services?
The miscellaneous professional services are currently our contract for ADP, our payroll vendor, as well as Job Source, which is our recruitment, Job Score, our recruitment vendor. As a side note, Job Score has not billed us since 2020. So that is a $20,000 expense that we are still anticipating will hit the books before the end of the fiscal year, this year, and it will be that or more going forward. We also have the opportunity to look at an efficient way, an efficiency increase for recruitment using text messaging, a technology firm that has an automated text messaging opportunity for candidates. Because again, we want to recruit as many candidates as we can and engage candidates the way they are communicating. And text messages, we feel would do that. We have been in discussion with a firm that will provide that service. It is $1,000 per license. And so we can utilize that going forward, either within the staff of HR or even roll it out to various areas and elected officials to be able to, for their staffing person, to use that software, provided the correct amount of licensure for this. And we aren't too sure how to say this corporation. We are currently looking at emissary, something, I'm woefully unprepared to say what their name is, I'm sorry, but it's something like that that does this, provided. ADP currently, I'm going to back up just a bit, I have a bit of detail here from Zach. ADP currently charges us approximately $48,000 per year for their payroll services, and Job Score is somewhere, it's $22,000 this year. It may roll as high as $24,000 for next year. We don't have a specific renewal amount from Job Score for going forward. That contract does renew on October 1st, so that's why we don't have a number right now as we're looking at the exact same contract renewal as our fiscal
I did notice too, Zach, on the document, that you printed, it's showing 80. We're budgeting 85.
85?
I don't know if I just didn't save our changes.
Maybe not, because we did make that, the extra 5 is for the licensure fee for the text messaging recruitment, emissary.
I wonder if that should go under software though. Well, it's probably not software for a computer.
It's not software for a computer, and
Okay.
we likened that service or that function with ADP and with job score. If we are not interpreting that correctly, we certainly could move those.
Okay.
But I would look to Zach to help us get those dollars in the right
I'll give a
spot.
call on that one.
Okay.
Perfect. Now keep going.
Great. Sorry, Kate, I have a quick question for Zach. Zach, has anybody reached out to Jobs Corps to find out why they're in arrears on the 70 county?
No.
Okay.
Just curious. We just found it a day and a half ago, so part of it is.
How far out?
A day and a half ago, we found it.
How far behind are
Generally pay around October.
They were supposed to have billed us last October for this year, and they haven't billed us.
they? Oh, we're still using it, so.
It's still turned on, we still have access.
We're looking into it, yes.
Thank you.
We want to pay our bill, but nobody seems to have received a bill. And so, there we are. The document shredding is a 15% increase, and maintenance apparently has provided us with that number, the 234-hour shredding. Other things along the rest of that for me, I believe it's the same here, have not increased. And so there wouldn't be a significant change to report or to discuss at this time, unless you have questions. On my, as I go forward, we actually decreased our expense for postage. I think we can all agree that the U.S. Postal Service general usage has decreased. Doesn't seem that the junk mail has decreased at my house, but the rest of the mail certainly has. So I think our decreased use is adequately displayed there.
What's health maintenance?
We have a company, a vendor, Flores,
Oh,
who helps us with our flexible spending accounts, the cards,
Yep.
ways to use.
and so their cost went up?
A few years ago, we switched from a vendor, PBS, I believe, to Flores. And when we made that transition, the cost did increase.
That's a pretty big jump from 7,500 to 20,000.
Well, if you look at the actual spending,
Uh-huh.
the actual spending has been around 20,000.
It wasn't budgeted correctly last
Okay,
year.
I see that to the left, I see it.
So that 2022 was merely just a straight exact carryover from 2021.
It's kind of like the credit card processing fees. For when those cards get used, we pay a user fee.
I think those cards are a convenience
Yeah.
service to employees.
Okay.
Yes, there's a fee for the credit cards, for administration.
Okay,
Amanda,
Commissioner White.
did we have Flores? It seems like we had Flores when I first came, and then we switched, and we figured out then we went back with Flores. Am I correct?
You are correct, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, my only other question, I know your computer equipment came from IT's recommendations. And then what, and we just did an office renovation for you, so what's the office furniture request?
Part of it, and we do need some new chairs. Some individuals need new chairs. We need an additional filing cabinet in HR to house our confidential records. The conference room, that is the HR conference room that's accessible off the hallway, that will become available for others to reserve and use, not just for HR business, but for others in the admin building to use that conference room. It's a fairly small conference room table, and we would propose that we have a larger table to be able to accommodate larger groups to utilize that room.
And it'll fit?
It will. It's a pretty small table in there now, and it both would fit. Probably 50% additional capacity with a larger table and to be able to utilize those rooms. Plus, and back to the new employee, we don't have furniture
Okay.
for our new employee when that person comes. And we're not even too sure how we'll use that. We'll be creative with where that person will sit within our new structure and our new location.
Because there's not another office.
Not right now. There is a very small conference room that might work. Otherwise, that person may need to sit in a cubicle environment in the middle. But again, the confidential nature of the work that they'll be doing, that does not seem to be a great proposal right now. So we'll have to see where we are. Our 2 part-time people currently share an office. So that may be a better switch to put them in a cubicle in the middle of the room and put our comp person in the office that they currently share.
Yeah.
That is to be determined,
Right.
and we will
That's
be
your job.
flexible. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll make it work.
Okay. All right, anything else? Jennifer?
Yes, I do want to mention a couple things that I don't think are updated on the document that Zach provided you. Let me just run through this really quick. We did increase subscriptions, which for 2022, we had 500 budgeted. We did bump that up to 5,000. And that is to cover subscriptions that we may need to sites to pull salary data, like payscale.com, salary.com, once the new employee starts.
Well, is salary data on those sites for governments?
I believe there's salary data for all of it.
Everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Glad you added an employee appreciation line.
Employee appreciation, we added 500. And you're seeing 4,000, are you seeing 4,000 for office? Oh, the office furniture, we bumped up from 3,500 to 4,000.
You've got all the detailed why it's at that
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
in your notes.
yes.
Okay, anything else? Any final questions?
Great job, thank you.
Thank you. I apologize for the last minute corrections and confusion that it may have caused, but we do have our documentation available if you or anyone else would like to review that.
All right. It's 11:24, that completes this meeting in the live feed. And then ladies, Alex is coming down for the legal stuff really quick.
Okay,
It'll go fast.
Okay.
thank you, good job.
Thank you very much.
Let me just check PowerPoint really quick.
Yeah.